Namaskar, I am Dr. Anshu Jindal from Jindal Hospital. I am an IVF specialist, a reproductive endocrinologist and an obstetrician as well. We are going to talk about a very interesting topic today, agonist versus antagonist protocol in IVF. As we are all aware that the antagonist protocol, which is more popular nowadays in IVF, is more patient friendly, lesser number of injections, lesser days of stimulation, a reasonable cohort of follicles with lesser chances of hyperstimulation, which is actually a big advantage because we all believe in an OHSS free clinic in IVF nowadays. The Three Musketeers approach in polycystic ovarian disease, wherein you go for an antagonist protocol, give an agonist trigger and freeze all, has become the norm in hyperresponders or polycystic ovarian disease. The agonist protocol is still practiced and used in IVF, especially for patients who are normal responders and in poor responders. So today we have none other than Dr. Sonia Malik to throw some light on this and reveal her 5 secrets on agonist versus antagonist protocol, what she uses when. Dr. Sonia Malik is the founder as well as the director and the head of the department of the Southern Fertility and IVF Center at Vasant Vihar, Delhi. She's had various positions in the past. She has been the past president of Indian Fertility Society in 2014 till 16, chairperson of the Infertility Committee in 2014 and till 16, and past president of Indian Menopausal Society in 2007 and 2008. She has been on the editorial board of various international and national journals, including the Fertility and Sterility Journal of India. She has had various awards in the past, the IMA Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015, and very recently she has been awarded the ACE Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019. So let's hear from Dr. Sonia Malik.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sonia Malik. I am the Director of Southern Fertility and IVF for Vasant Vihar, New Delhi. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Anshu Jindal and the Global ART Forum for having me here today and making me a part of this wonderful series. I congratulate them for this great initiative and I think it's going to help lots of people. With that, let me talk to you about this molecule that I have been assigned, the GnRH analogs, agonist versus antagonist. So what are my 5 secrets? So first secret is know your molecule. So you should know what a GnRH agonist is and what a GnRH antagonist is. So a GnRH agonist acts by desensitizing the GnRH receptors and therefore its action is slow. It first causes a burst of gonadotropins by having a flare effect, and then it finally suppresses the receptors by desensitizing them. So it has a dual effect, flare followed by the suppression. Whereas the antagonists are a very fast acting molecule. They just go and block the receptors and therefore there is only suppression. So the difference between the two is of mode of action. Second secret, select your patients. When to use what. So if you are wanting only suppression, you can use either an agonist or an antagonist. But if you want a flare, you can only use the agonist. In the suppression, the patients selected are the normal responders and the poor responders now for GnRH agonist, where you can utilize the suppressive effect as well as the flare effect, and also long suppression as you have in endometriosis, where you want to suppress the patient for a longer period. Also, in patients where you want to do an FET, where you want to suppress the pituitary and then start the estrogen and progesterone, there also the agonist is used. However, if you want to use it for its flare effect, either you use it for a short protocol where you give a small little dose, so for poor responders, or you want to trigger the ovulation where you are suspecting ovarian hyperstimulation. So these are some of the indications of the use of both of them. And the third, of course, is the protocol. So if it is an agonist, then either it is a long protocol or a short or an ultra short protocol. So what is a long protocol? You have to start the agonist from day 21 of the previous cycle and go on till the day of trigger. A short protocol and ultra short protocol is where you are starting it from day 1 of the cycle and giving it for just 2-3 days to give a burst of gonadotrophins over there, and you can continue it up to the 14th day in order to prevent the LH surge as well. So you're taking advantage of both the facts. In the antagonist, on the other hand, because it is a versatile molecule and very short acting, you can have a flexible protocol or you can have a fixed protocol. Generally, the flexible one is used where you are starting it from day 6 or 7, depending upon the size of the follicle, which should be 14 and above, and the endometrium, which should be 6.5 to 7. So there you start with the antagonist and you carry on till the trigger. Then if you want to use the GnRH trigger, it is generally given in patients of ovarian hyperstimulation where you are using the antagonist protocol in order to avoid ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. My fourth secret, the monitoring of these patients. You have to be very careful what do you do when. You have to be careful that you have not gone overboard and suppressed the cycle so much that you need extra gonadotrophins to bring it up. Or you also have to be careful that you haven't gone overboard and therefore there is a risk of ovarian hyperstimulation. So your gonadotrophins can also be monitored depending on how you are using your GnRH analogs. Therefore, be careful when you are using them and take care that you don't let your patient go into ovarian hyperstimulation. My fifth secret, what are the adverse effects and what are the side effects that you should be conscious of? The first one, like I said, is ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, and you know for that it is the agonist cycle which are actually responsible for ovarian hyperstimulation because we have to give an HCG trigger. However, the other dreaded side effect, or uncomfortable, I would say, an embarrassing side effect, is empty follicle syndrome, and this can also happen in people where the HCG trigger is not given properly or the patient has not taken it properly, or in the GnRH agonist trigger if you haven't selected your patients properly. So be careful how and when you think of giving the GnRH agonist trigger, because you may end up with an empty follicle. And the third, of course, is the luteal insufficiency, which always happens with the GnRH trigger, agonist trigger, rather than the HCG. So just be careful of these 3 or 4 problems that you might encounter when you're using the GnRH analogs. With that, having shared my 5 secrets with you, I hope you're wiser and I hope you will be able to use your GnRH analogs in a better fashion. Thank you very much for being with me.
Ma'am, definitely you have made us wiser today with such a wonderful discourse on agonist versus antagonist protocols. In conclusion, I would just like to say that the agonist protocol is still the preferred protocol in normal responders and in poor responders because of a better cohort of follicles, a better yield of eggs, and more number of oocytes per stimulation. Whereas the antagonist protocol is the preferred protocol in hyper responders. It is more physiological because at the start of the stimulation there is no down regulation. There are lesser chances of ovarian cyst formation with the antagonist protocol and definitely lesser chances of hyperstimulation. Luteal phase support is required in both protocols. I hope you have liked this video and benefited from it. If you have liked this video, please click on the like button, subscribe to our channel Global ART Forum so that we can get you more such videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching.